In 2016, I traveled the world for about 2 years and I ended up spending about $1,400 a month traveling, which is insane. If you compare that to how much you would spend for a 1-bedroom apartment in San Francisco, that'd be around $3,600, which means I traveled for less than half the cost of renting in the Bay Area, which is where I'm from. When I say $1,400 a month, that's including accommodations, flights, food, entertainment, and other miscellaneous items. It included every single thing because I tracked on a spreadsheet how much I spent in every single city, and I did that for about 9 months and then averaged it all out to get to that $1,400 a month number. I basically did this all around Asia and Europe, and a lot of people are wondering how I was able to do this for 2 years and only spend that little. So that's why I wanted to give you guys my best tips today. Another reason is my husband and I are planning to travel for a year abroad in a few weeks, and by the time this video is out, I might already be traveling. So we're going to hit up Vietnam and then Taipei, and then we're gonna figure it out from there. So I'm always the one booking every single thing for us because he knows I know how to do this. So let's get right into it. First tip is actually to use credit card points, and I didn't really take advantage of this when I was traveling in 2016. I would get cashback rewards from my credit cards, but now that I've gotten way more familiar and figured out which cards give you the best deals, you can actually get a ton of free travel just by doing this. So basically, as you guys can see here, I spent 473,983 points in the past 12 months. With a specific card I used, basically 100 points equals $1.50 instead of the normal $1. So if you do the math here, if you multiply 473,983 by 1.5, then divided by 100, it means I redeemed $7,109.75 worth of travel in the past 12 months. So that's a ton of free travel that I was able to get through credit cards. So if you guys want to check out our recommended credit cards, check it out through my link below. We are definitely going to be using this a lot more when we're traveling. So we're planning to open up one more business card as well as another personal card, especially because of their welcome bonuses, and they have some good point rewards. Again, check out my link below if you guys want those recommendations, but I've been doing so much research on this and I'm excited for all the free travel that it's going to allow us to have. When you're looking at those cards, check out the welcome bonuses they include, as well as the amount of points you get back per purchase depending on the category. All right, let's get into the next tip. So next, you want to let deals plan your trips. There's a saying that you should buy what you need, not what you want. Travel though is usually a luxury, something you don't exactly need. So if you're gonna go on these trips, you might as well fly cheap and plan them according to flight prices. I would say too many people jump on travel plans after figuring out with friends and deciding they have to go to a certain location at a certain time. Instead, I would say let the deal take you. So pay attention to flight deals for ideas of where to go, and then once there's a good deal, jump on it solo or maybe suggest that deal to your friends. So with this mindset, I've been able to get round trip flights to Europe for under $400, or round trip flights to Hong Kong, same thing, for $400. My latest one from Miami to Madrid round trip was $250, but it's because I let the deal take me. I didn't wait for other people. I just looked for what made sense for me. Another thing is you want to buy and fly at the right time. So if you have to purchase a flight for a special occasion or something like that, make sure to fly at the right time. So for me, I like to travel from maybe Thursday to a Monday instead of the normal Friday to Sunday that a lot of people request when it's a wedding or a bachelorette party, right? You usually have to do the weekends for other people. However, if you are able to squeeze it, maybe you go Thursday night, come back early Monday. It's usually cheaper to book Thursday to Monday instead of a Friday to Sunday. Like leaving on a Friday for flights is extremely expensive. Coming back on Sunday is extremely expensive because everyone wants those dates. However, if you extend it and then book more days for your accommodations, usually I still spend less than how much I would have spent for a Friday to Sunday. So I think it's extremely worth it. By doing this hack, I've saved a lot, and usually I only have to take one additional PTO day if I were working a 9 to 5. I'm not working a 9 to 5 anymore. But if I were to, I would fly Thursday night, so I wouldn't have to take another PTO day on Thursday, but then I would take the PTO on Monday. So additional follow-up, multiple sources state that Sunday and Tuesday afternoon are actually the best time to buy tickets. Then Tuesday and Wednesday are the cheapest days to fly. Based on 1.5 billion airfares, cheapair.com found that booking 47 days in advance is usually the sweet spot for cheapest airfare, which is from a February 2015 report. Now, personally, my rule is not to book too early or too late, but usually I swoop in on flight deals, so it doesn't really matter to me. My next tip is to stay aware of the cheapest airports. So sometimes it's cheaper to fly to certain countries within the same continent of where you're going, and then travel country to country within that continent. So for example, there's like Ryanair, Wizz Air as like budget airlines that allows you to fly within Europe, usually around $10 to $50 per trip. Now, if you were flying to Europe, it might be beneficial to fly into a cheaper airport, for example, Madrid or Lisbon. I say those two places because in the past 2 years, we flew to Lisbon and then we flew to Madrid, and it was basically under $400 round trip because I chose that specific airport. And then I flew within Europe for extremely cheap. The last trip I did, which was basically a month ago or 2 months ago, we flew from Miami into Madrid, and that round trip was $250, but I still had to fly to Miami, which did add up a little bit. But if I were to fly directly from Dallas, which is where I'm at currently, it's basically over $1,000 round trip. That's why I booked from Miami, and it was extremely cheaper. Then once I went to Madrid, I went to Rome, I went to Venice, Nice, Paris. Like, I went to a bunch of places in Europe, but that did not break the bank. Another thing, when you're in Europe specifically, they do have like rail passes as well as buses that you might be interested in doing. We actually did do a bus for one of the legs of the trip, and you should explore these different ways of transportation when you are within the continent. My next tip, one of my favorite ones, is to take advantage of Google Flights. So Google Flights is by far my favorite tool for looking up flights. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but it is such a good tool. Reason being is you can search with multiple airports, and when I was flying from the Bay Area, I could fly from 3 different airports: SFO, SJC, Oakland. So I was able to fly from different ones, and Google Flights lets you select up to 5 different airports for that. So let me show you guys what you can do with Google Flights. Okay, so once you are in Google Flights, one thing you can do is click the where to and just leave that blank. So you'll basically search for these specific dates and then click explore. And then what it basically does is shows you all these different locations that you can fly to for certain prices. But what you can do is also filter by price. So for this, maybe I'll do it under $200. So you can see locations that are cheaper based off of that filter. So let's say I want to go to Miami. Let me type in Miami here, and then I'm going to click view flights. So we've basically narrowed down that Miami is cheaper. So let's look for specific dates. So instead of November 9th to 13th, let's check other dates. So let's use the easy to use low fare calendar to see. So look, there's $38 flights right here if I go from the 28th to December 2nd. Now, with Spirit Airlines, you don't get luggage. You can only get your personal bag, but you can add luggage if you want. Personally, I don't really care if I fly Spirit or Frontier. Like, a lot of people hate it so much, but I haven't really had issues. But here, it's going to 2:20 a.m., so that might not be something you want. So what you can do is change the arrival time. So change it from maybe a respectable hour, like 9 a.m. to 12 a.m., and see what results you get. So we have $62 round trip flights, which is still very reasonable and amazing. So yeah, you can basically check for these different dates that have that offering. And that is how you can get really cheap flights. Now, if you wanted to fly internationally, maybe you want to go to Europe. Let's go back here and then click, type in Europe. So now it'll show you different destinations for it, but because we have the price filter on, let's actually turn that off. Now, once we turn that off, we can see different locations for maybe, $500 to $600. Let's actually do a price filter again and go under $550. So now under $550, you can see these different locations. Madrid is an easy one that, we did before. And let's look at Madrid. Let's click view flights. Now here, yeah, you can see $497, but if there's anything cheaper, let's see. Look, there's $427. So you can basically do this method, right? And then be able to get better dates for cheaper. So this is basically what I do, right? I filter for the place, then go to the dates to see what makes sense for what I'm trying to do. I keep my options open and I let the flight deal take me. So I just showed you guys my exact method of finding extremely cheap flights. Next tip is you can monitor deal sites. So two of my favorite deal sites include the flightdeal.com as well as slickdeals.com. Slickdeals has all different products, but sometimes they do feature flights and even accommodations. Like I've seen some for the Maldives at a great discount. You should check these sites regularly if you are trying to travel more. And then I know I talked a lot about flights, but we can talk about accommodations as well. So again, you want to use credit card points if you can. We've redeemed over $7,000 worth in the last 12 months, so we didn't have to pay for all that travel. And that included hotels. Like when we booked the Europe trip, a lot of the hotels were free because of the credit card points. So definitely check that out. Again, look at my credit card recommendations. And then aside from that, if you are looking for like month-to-month travel, what I've done is I would go on Airbnb and then look for locations with 30-day bookings, because a lot of times they have discounts for 30 days or 7 days. So you want to filter for those amount of days and see if some of these accommodations are offering a discount. Another thing you can do that I did before is you can reach out to certain hosts to see if they would offer a discount for a longer stay. The thing is, a lot of these hosts want their places to be occupied instead of vacant. When people are booking short term, a lot of times there's going to be gaps within the calendar. So that's why it is enticing for them to take a deal with you, which is why you do have leverage when you are messaging them to see if they would accommodate for a negotiation on a month-long stay. And then one more thing is, when I was traveling to Chiang Mai, Thailand, as an example, I would book a couple days on Airbnb first, and then I would go over there and then book for the month-long stays while I was there. And then you would get the best deals in person versus through Airbnb. So that's something to consider if you are booking longer. And that's not necessarily something that's easy to come by in certain countries. So you do have due diligence to make sure that is the case. But for example, for Chiang Mai, that's what I did. And when we go to Taipei in the next few weeks, that's what I'm actually going to be doing. So we booked like 2 weeks on Airbnb, and then we plan to switch locations to something more long term, but we plan on doing that search while we are in Taipei, because also we want a place that's more comfortable and is suitable for if we filmed content and stuff like that. So it is sometimes more beneficial in person and more affordable doing this. Now, we talked about so many different tips, but these are literally all of my secrets on how to travel cheap. So I really hope you guys take these into consideration. I actually pride myself in being a pro at this stuff. And I think if you guys learn these fundamentals, you guys can travel for a lot cheaper than you think. Like I mentioned, I travel the world for $1,400 a month, which is less than half the cost of how much it would cost for rent in the Bay Area. Now, if you guys have other travel tips, let me know in the comments below, and also let me know if you guys would want me to make more credit card content to learn more about points and how to use that to your advantage. If you guys like this episode, make sure to smash the like button. And also, if you like this one, you'll like my story from 30K a year to millionaire by 30. It does talk about my digital nomad journey and how I was able to make passive income. Subscribe, hit the bell button to be notified of my latest videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.